And welcome to the Cardinals Nest 2.0. This is the program where we catch up with St. Mary's University student athlete alumni. I'm your host, Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative for the Cardinals. My co-host is Donnie Netto, the sports information director. And today we welcome a 1999 graduate who might look a little bit familiar. He spent some time on television as an American Ninja Warrior. Andrew Yori is our guest today. So Andrew, welcome to the program. You graduated in 1999. Good to have you back, at least virtually, here on campus today.
Yeah, appreciate you reaching out and good to get caught up.
Yeah, good. So Donnie, you knew Andrew. You were here in 1999 when Andrew graduated. Why don't you share some of your memories of Andrew, affectionately known as Rue, as you can see on the screen there. So
I got to admit that I never would have put Andrew then, or especially then, and American Ninja Warrior together, because they really didn't. Andrew in 1999 was not the type of person I would say would be an American Ninja Warrior. But I think that before we talk about that, and I've been really looking forward to this because I got tons of questions for you on that. Talk a little bit about how you ended up at St. Mary's playing soccer, and as we talked before, you did a little track and field as well. But kind of take us back to your time in '95 when you came to campus, and what brought you to campus, and really kind of your time playing soccer here.
Yeah, for sure. Played soccer in high school back in Illinois, and I went to a summer camp with Brad Howder, actually, and he was the one running the summer camp. It was the year before my senior year of high school, and he ended up getting the head coach position that next year, which would then be my freshman year. And he remembered me from that soccer camp and recognized that, I might not be super heavily recruited because I was kind of the type of player that kind of held everything together but wasn't super flashy. And so he thought that I might be available. And so he called me up, and I was totally out of the blue. I was actually had my acceptance letter for Northern Illinois University sealed and was ready to mail it the next day. But he gave me a call that night, and I was like, Winona, where's that? Like Minnesota. Like, what's going on here? So figured it was worth a shot. I was gonna go to NIU to be a dentist or go to pre-dental. And I looked at St. Mary's and noticed that they had a really strong biology program. And so I figured, hey, if I can go to a really good school that has what I'm looking for, and I get to play soccer, because I wasn't really planning on doing that beyond high school, figured it was worth a shot and worth checking out. So we made the road trip from Illinois up to Winona, and I remember coming over the Mississippi, right, on I-90, and you see the bluffs, and then that whole ride along Mississippi was just gorgeous. And then when we got to campus, the bluffs are kind of the back part of campus, and I really fell in love with that atmosphere. And I was like, it seemed like a really good school, really good opportunity for me, not just with the education, but then to play soccer. And so figured what the heck, and came to college that next year, and very grateful and glad that I made that decision.
Rue, a lot of people can talk very fondly of their memories, their time at St. Mary's. Do you have any memories that, soccer related or not soccer related, that you think back on and say, man, those 4 years were really something special?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. As I mentioned, the bluffs, I would go up in the bluffs quite often, actually. I would use them to train for soccer because there's the rock. I don't know if there's that big overlook, right? And so, that would be one of my training runs. I would just take off out of my dorm and head up that hill. And if you ever tried to run up that hill, it's a pretty good workout, and then you get up there and you're rewarded with the great view. I just kind of hang up there, overlooking the campus, just really good time to reflect and think about stuff and some time to yourself. And, it was really cool. And then if you do remember me, on campus back in the day, I spent a lot of time in the weight room. I was always kind of in the rack late at night when nobody else was there, just working on stuff. I took the soccer team pretty seriously, and so I was just doing whatever I could to prepare myself for the games and the next season, and I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed pushing myself. I'd even go down in the racquetball courts. I don't even know if those are still there, down in the basement by the locker rooms, and beat the soccer ball around down there at 11 o'clock at night. It's kind of weird, but it was fun, and I enjoyed that stuff. And then obviously my senior year, joined track for the first time. Had a little motivating factor because there was a cute girl on the team that I wanted to get to know a little bit more, and that worked out pretty well. We're now married. It's been 16 years. It was 2004 now that we got married, so that's definitely a highlight for sure.
You couldn't catch her on the track, but you finally did catch her in the relationship, apparently, right? Andrew, when you talked earlier about you spent a lot of time in I thought for sure you were going to say library, but you didn't. You said the weight room. But I'm also sure, knowing our biology department, you spent a lot of time in the library too. But talk about some of the relationships on the soccer team, especially with some of the other guys and your coach as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tight-knit group. We were really a good team. I enjoyed hanging out with those guys. It kind of created a little bit second family. I didn't know anybody coming onto campus. There was nobody from my high school that I knew, so I was just kind of coming in by myself. So to have that group and have those guys is people to get to know and to kind of experience college together, and have that group really helped me assimilate into the campus life and have people to spend time with and enjoy and and go through classes with and study with and work out with and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was pretty neat.
Well, you are by far our most famous American Ninja Warrior. There's no question about that. Probably our only one, but can you just talk a little bit about how that evolved, how you even got involved in that? And last year you were in the finals. You made it to the finals. This year we have to talk about that a little bit because you weren't quite, you didn't quite make it. But how did you even get involved in that, and how did it end up evolving into actually making it onto TV?
Yeah. So as we talked about, I've kind of been an athlete my whole life. I've always enjoyed pushing myself to see what I'm capable of. I've always enjoyed kind of climbing around. I'd go up to that rock, and there was a time where I actually went and probably not very safely climbed some of the rocks, and almost got caught in a bad situation, but got myself out of it along those bluffs. But I've always just enjoyed that kind of adventure and whatnot, and so kind of goes back to kind of in between Ninja Warrior and graduating from St. Mary's. I really got into rescuing dogs and did a lot of work with pit bulls. I rescued a pit bull that was going to be euthanized, and we became a national and world champion Frisbee dog. I adopted one of the dogs from the Michael Vick dogfighting case, and he became a certified therapy dog. And so those two dogs in particular became very well known. And we did a lot of advocacy, not just for pit bulls, but just shelter dogs. And, the fact that dogs are individuals like we are, and maybe we shouldn't really judge them by what they look like or where they came from, just like we shouldn't judge each other by those things. And but when they passed away, it was hard for me to continue to advocate because I couldn't really continue to make Frisbee dog videos with Wallace. I couldn't continue to have people meet Hector and see what great of a dog he was. And I saw this American Ninja Warrior on TV, and I was like, that has nothing to do with dogs whatsoever. But I noticed that they would highlight the backstories of some of the athletes, and none of them really had that angle, right? It's a reality TV show, so they're looking at the backstories. It looked fun. I was like, I looked at those obstacles. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that, and I'm like, if I get the chance to find out if I can do that, and they continue to highlight, Wallace and Hector and the other dogs, and I can use that as a platform to help the dogs that are in shelters, why not, right? So I threw my hat in the ring. I threw in the application, was able to get picked, and had a really good first season back in 2016, was season 8. That was my rookie year. I was 39 years old at that time, so a little bit old to be a rookie, but did pretty well. Made it to the national finals that year, and have been on the show ever since. So it's been pretty crazy.
And I think that I am a big fan of the show, and at 58 I won't be a rookie ever, but I'm a big fan of it. But they call you the K-9 Ninja, which I think is really kind of important, because it, as you talk about that advocacy for shelter dogs, and that just brings that attention. It's not Andrew Yori, it's the K-9 Ninja, and that has really helped you in raising funds and really awareness for shelter dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. It is fun and I do enjoy it, but at the same time, it's a pretty big opportunity, and not a lot of people get the opportunity. And so since I was able to get the opportunity, I wanted to have it be more than just me doing obstacles, right? I'm passionate about helping dogs and trying to get the ones in the shelters and rescues adopted. And so I figured I need to use this platform to help that and try to make it about something bigger. And fortunately, it's worked out great. I've raised over $60,000 the past 3 years over the show. So it's been crazy. It's been great.
Once again, we're talking with Andrew Yori, 1999, St. Mary's student athlete, men's soccer, and American Ninja Warrior. Speaking of raising money for your organization, Andrew, I know after one of the American Ninja Warrior appearances and performances, you were presented a check from the producers of the movie of Pets 2. Kind of tell us about that and your reaction to that.
Yeah, I had no idea that they were going to do that. They have never done anything like that before, so total surprise on my part. It was funny because, they announce the filming cities and the dates that they're going to be, and it's basically based on region. So, you don't really know which one you're going to be called for ultimately until you get that call, but you kind of have an idea, right? And so there was, it was last season, and I got a call from the producers in like February, and the region that I should have been probably called for wasn't until May. So I answered the phone, and he's like, "Hey, it's Peter." And I'm like, "Why are you calling me so soon? Like, I thought this is a bad thing." And so they're like, "Well, here's the deal. We're actually doing a co-promotion with Secret Life of Pets 2, and since you're the K-9 Ninja, we're hoping that you can actually come down to Atlanta for the filming in March." And I was like, "Oh, shoot." So, they actually specifically thought of me for that. And I thought it was going to be just kind of guaranteed airtime, because there's no guarantee that you're actually going to make the show or anything like that. And so I was like, hey, it's a good opportunity to make sure that I get some airtime for my cause. And then, afterwards, they surprised me with that check. And I already had a lot of pressure on myself, to be honest. So I'm glad I didn't know because the previous seasons, I didn't do as well as I felt like I could have or should have. And so I was really, really wanting to hit another buzzer that season. And so fortunately, I made that happen. I did hit the buzzer. And then they surprised me with $20,000 for my nonprofit. And so it was probably obviously my best year as to date, but it was a pretty cool surprise.
And hitting the buzzer, I mean, I'm assuming, I'm talking like everybody has watched this show, but when you hit that buzzer, the first time you did that, what was going through your mind? Because you see people on that show and they hit the buzzer and it's just like euphoric, Can you just talk a little bit about climbing that warped wall and hitting the buzzer?
Yeah, it's kind of unreal. I stand up there and it's like, man, this actually happened, because it's especially I guess now, my first year I was going in there, I didn't really have a ton of experience. I felt like I could do it, but the question is, will you do it? Because you only get one shot, right? We don't get to practice the obstacles. We don't get, we get the one shot, and you have to do every single obstacle the first time, and that's it. If you fall, you're done. If you guess how quickly those balance obstacles spin wrong, and you're already on it, so you can't really adjust, and you're done. And so, to be able to execute, and then to grab the top of that warp wall, hit that buzzer, and have like an entire year now. I'm training for this now, and I'm taking this kind of seriously now, and I'm trying to prepare myself. So to hit that buzzer and know that the time that you spent the previous year preparing for it has paid off is definitely a very nice reward, and kind of an unreal experience when you have most of the time the crowd cheering for you. Obviously this year that wasn't the case, but you have the crowd going crazy, your wife and the dogs and your parents down there screaming and yelling, and just celebrating the hard work and repping the dogs that need to get adopted. It's not much better than that.
So you kind of answered my question, and I think I can ask it for a lot of people. You literally never get to practice on the obstacles until it's your turn, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And do you ever does anybody like demonstrate how it goes, or do you literally just see the obstacle and have to get from one end to the other?
Yeah, no, they do have testers actually. So kind of leading up to filming, they'll have people that test the obstacles, because they can tweak it and make it harder and easier. And so they try to test to see how many people are getting through, and they kind of dial that in to make sure that they have the right difficulty for what they're looking for. But we don't get to touch it. If we touch it, then we're disqualified. We do get to potentially watch the testers. However, now that they're actually moving things indoor, this past year, we didn't get to watch the testers at all because they were completely separated from us. So basically this year, it was you walk onto the course right before we're about ready to run it. They tell you the rules, because there's certain rules that they need, you only can use your hands here, you can't touch this, et cetera, et cetera. And then they will give a demo of that. And so it's like, yes, it's doable. You get to see somebody do it. But then they take us back into ninja holding, and then that's it. We're getting warmed up. We're trying to do pull-ups and just get our body warmed up. We're mentally preparing ourselves, a lot of visualization. It does help to not go first, because a lot of times we can actually see the people before us. And so that can help. If somebody figures out a new way to do it, then everybody after that does have a bit of an advantage, or maybe, well, that didn't work, so don't try that, so that can be a bit of advantage. So there's a little bit of a gameplay there if you can go later on in the run order. But ultimately, like I said, the worst are the balance obstacles. Those things spin and tilt and wobble, and you can't understand that until you're on it. And, if you don't hit center, if you guess wrong, you're done. And that's why we all hate the balance stuff.
So I don't need to ask the question of which one's your least favorite obstacle, right?
Yeah. But I will say one that exceeds the balance is the rolling log. And that's the one that I faced my first year, where you grab onto that log and it just rolls you down a track.
Right? That's early in the run too.
What's that?
I said that's early in the run too, isn't it?
Yeah, it was number 2. It was number 2. I have a love-hate, because I ended up making it through, and so it helped me because it actually knocked out the top competitor, the fastest runner, for me to go to Vegas that year. But that obstacle's brutal.
Andrew, what's your training regimen for this?
Yeah, so they actually have ninja gyms now. But they didn't really have a lot of those back then when I first started. I have a friend that owns a CrossFit gym, and so he lets me kind of do my thing off in the corner on there. I did find a ninja gym that was about 2 hours away before my rookie year, so I got together with them, and that helped me a lot. They had a warp wall They had a salmon ladder, so once I got to that point, I could feel confident that, yeah, I could get up this work wall because I'd done it before. Now there's tons of ninja gyms all over the place. We have a place here in Rochester, gymnastics gym, Jets. We set up a little Ninja Warrior rig there, but there's no real place to lâcher. And the lâcher is when you're like launching yourself from bar to bar in the air. You swing from a bar and you launch yourself to the next bar. And so right now I'm actually building a ninja rig in my backyard so I can train. The pandemic is helping motivate that because there's not as much opportunities with gyms being open and whatnot. And then we have, just also, as Donnie kind of mentioned, this year I made a mistake and fell on the second obstacle in the semifinals. And so that kind of motivated me to get some extra training in. And so that doesn't happen again.
You're moving so well too. And the funny thing is, because when I emailed you asking you to be on the show, you already knew what happened and I didn't. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I didn't know how to kind of word it because I knew you had advanced. And so you handled it very well. And like, yeah. The next show is on Monday night or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh man, I was hoping maybe he'd tell me how he did.
I've gotten pretty good at keeping the secret over 5 years. So we're good.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Andrew, I just have a couple of questions and I know we're running late on time, but as we talk about reminiscing, and I know we talked a little bit about this before we started taping, and I have a great story or a great memory of Coach Hodder when he was here, and that is him getting on his riding lawnmower and driving across America. And I remember him getting into a lawnmower accident where he actually tipped over his lawnmower while he was driving it. So that's my personal favorite story about Coach Hodder. Do you have one yourself about Brad?
Yeah. Honestly, I think probably this kind of goes back to when he was recruiting me. The summer before I came to St. Mary's, he actually came to one of my city league games, and I was still kind of wondering why he was recruiting me so hard because, I didn't necessarily always enjoy high school soccer. I enjoyed soccer, but I was tiny too. Like if you remember when I was a freshman, I think I was probably about 115 pounds and like, pretty small. I looked like I should be maybe going into high school, not going into college, right? And I remember playing that game, and I scored or I had an assist or something, and I looked over at him, and he gave me a smile, gave me a point, and then afterwards he came up to me, and it reassured me that he had the right guy because he actually recognized me and he was excited to see me. So I was like, all right, I think we're good. From that point forward, I think we've had just a great friendship. He was a great coach and, pushed me quite a bit. And, I respected him as a coach and we've stayed in contact ever since. We were just messaging a little bit. He was asking me about how Ninja Warrior was going. I saw that he was making some furniture out of pallets and whatnot. So I sent him the link on these cool shelves that I saw somewhere. And so, yeah, it's been great. Been a great friendship and a great connection to have. Hopefully that continues moving forward.
Dean?
So, Andrew, I was going to ask, tell us about what you're doing now. Of course, you were a biology major here at St. Mary's, and now you've been able to kind of parlay that into a career at Mayo Clinic. So tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did not end up being a dentist. Had pre-dental, but decided that I didn't think dentistry was my thing, actually. So, but yeah, Mayo Clinic is right down the street, in Rochester from Winona. So put in my application there. That was back in 2001. Got a job as a clinical lab technologist in the molecular genetics lab. And I've been in the lab for most of my career. Now I'm supervisor for the next generation sequencing lab, which is pretty cutting edge, fairly high profile lab at Mayo Clinic within our department. And so it's a great group, great place to work. Feel pretty fortunate to have that, especially now. It's pretty stressful and busy at this time, but feel feel grateful to be part of a really good organization that we're trying to do what we can too to help people and everybody, or all of us, kind of get through this pandemic. It's been nice to have access to good information as well. We're kind of getting briefs and whatnot regarding the spreads and the cases and how best to handle it, and trying to take that information and be responsible with it, and try to do what we can and do my part to get us through this right now and get to the other side.
Well, Andrew, even though you didn't go into dentistry, you've been able to stay in science. So I think that's great. And I'm sure that's a career that's fulfilling for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been great too. It allows me to do the Ninja Warrior on the side, right? So, Mayo Clinic's been great. The work unit has been great. And, there's a lot of people that, might not be able to take some time off here and there, to go pursue some of these things, and feel fortunate that I have that opportunity and just trying to make the best of it.
Andrew, one last thing for any young high school students who might be watching. Why was St. Mary's a good fit for you, and how has it helped you kind of throughout your career at Mayo, but also just your life and your activities with American Ninja Warrior?
Yeah, I really like the personal aspect. I like the small campus, the fact that you're not really lost in a crowd, if you will. I enjoyed that. The teachers were very attentive to what you were doing. They're always, you had access to them. You always had access to people in the dorms that could help you out as well. There's a lot of different programs that you could be a part of. There's just a lot of opportunities there to not only take advantage of the education, but then, some of those extra things that, extracurriculars that also teach you life skills and how to balance, work, AKA school, and fun life, and so I think, those opportunities were good, and I've been able to, I took advantage of that quite a bit at St. Mary's, and I think that has allowed me to, take that forward into life and be successful in my job and my career, but then also have these cool things on the side that allow me to do a little bit extra.
And I know you'd encourage everyone to go out for track their senior year too, right?
Especially if there's a cute girl. So,
Donnie, anything to wrap us up?
Just real quick, we got to end on a light note. So, Andrew, aside from yourself, the K-9 Ninja, who's your favorite Ninja Warrior?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh my gosh, you know what? I don't know. It's tough because it's pretty close-knit community, actually. And I think Ninja Warrior is one of the few places that we're competing with each other, but we're also encouraging each other, And so, person that's coming to mind right now, I know him fairly well, Jake Murray. He's just a good guy, and he's always really fun to watch. He's fun-loving, but if you really pay attention and you really see what he does behind the scenes, he's super dedicated too. So I respect the fact that he takes it seriously, but can still have fun with it. And he's good enough that he can have fun with it on the course and still beat pretty much everybody.
Well, you'll always be our favorite ninja, I'll tell you that.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Andrew Yori, thanks so much for your time today and for joining us. Good luck as you move forward here with American Ninja Warrior.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for Cardinals Nest 2.0. Thanks for watching.